Hi, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit more today about pressure and why I think pressure is so good for me and for us in general as human beings, provided that the pressure is not too great and not too little. By pressure I mean something that tests your structure, tests your integrity, tests your ability to maintain your balance and your equilibrium and your sense of being okay and being up for this, whatever this is. I think of it in terms of Tai Chi, physical pressure. For instance, gravity is pressure, right? Working in push hands or doing applications or even hitting a bag or mitts or pads. There's pressure. There's pressure that comes into your body. And I have to learn when I receive pressure to how to distribute it in my body such a way that that the pressure doesn't go to one place. If the pressure goes to one place, that place is likely to get injured. If the pressure is spread out through my body, it's less likely to cause injury. This goes for gravity. You know, if our shoulders are tight or our pelvis is pushed forward or the knees locked, gravity goes and pressure. It sends pressure to those places, and if I have bad posture, that pressure will harm me over time. But if I never experience enough pressure on my body to notice those things, then I never know about those weaknesses. So pressure reveals the weaknesses, because pressure goes to the weak place, right? That's just the way the physics of the earth is. The weak link breaks first, right? So by taking pressure into my body, I find out where my weaknesses are. If I'm working with another person, say we're doing like pushing hands, which is an exchange of force between two people looking to off-balance each other, I can think of it as a contest, or I can think of it as an educational conversation in which I'm trying to teach the other person something, and they're trying to teach me something about my balance. If they push me in such a way that their push goes to one place, and I'm locked up in some way, got my center, then I haven't expressed or embodied my Tai Chi principles in that moment, and I'm likely to get injured. The opponent is always trying to do this to you. The opponent is trying to get you off balance and to get you to experience it in one place. I'm trying to distribute that throughout my whole body so that the pressure goes through me and into the ground, or through me in a way that makes me move but doesn't get caught or bound up in a particular place. So that pressure from the other person educates me about where I'm weak and when I'm weak and how I'm weak. And if I know where I'm weak, I can strengthen those weaknesses. It's something that I love about martial arts practice, is that it's such a simple thing, but one thing that you do in a martial arts practice, whether it's a hardcore combat practice or more of an artful practice like Tai Chi, you know, which has all kinds of movements that are perhaps less than ultimately practical in a street fight, one thing that studying a martial art does, it's just inherent in the study, you look for your weaknesses and you strengthen them. So you find out where you're weak and you make it stronger. And that is a great habit to build in life, that when you find out you're weak in something, you can strengthen it and not shy away from that. Now, obviously we can't work on every single weakness. I mean, I'm sure that if I started juggling with bowling pins on a unicycle, I'd find out all kinds of weaknesses I have. Those aren't things that I necessarily need to strengthen or want to strengthen. So I look for things that I want to strengthen, things that I actually want in my life, but where I'm weak. And martial arts study is a great way to do that. You look for your weaknesses and you strengthen them. It's a great habit to build in life, that when you notice you're weak at something, like I'm good at my job except for this part is my weakness, go to that and make that better, make it stronger. It might not be your strong point, but you can at least strengthen it a little bit. So martial arts is a great way, a great habit a great way to build that habit. But in order to know what my weaknesses are, I need to be under pressure. I need to have pressure on my system so that I can notice which links are the weak links, and they're the ones that are starting to break. So, you go to the grocery store and there are certain cashiers who can talk to you and they can ring up your groceries, but they can't do two at once. It's too much pressure. So they talk to you, their hands stop, and then they go back to their hands, and then they talk and they go back and forth. That's a person who shouldn't be a cashier. Anyway, unless it's a very laid-back place. But so too much pressure, though, is bad, obviously. Too much pressure, and your weaknesses don't just reveal themselves, they break. They break. If you pressure a kid, pressure a marriage, pressure a company, pressure a body, right? Pressure a house, pressure a bridge, pressure anything too much. If the pressure's too much, the weaknesses will just break, and there's no way to fix them. They're just broken. Like if I have a 20-pound or a 40-pound weight vest on, and I do my form with the weight vest on, that pressure will provide information for me about my alignment that doing it without the weight vest won't give me. So that's okay. But if I put a 200 or 300-pound weight vest on, I'll be lucky to even stand up, and I'll probably hurt my knees and hurt my ankles. So too much pressure is bad, obviously. I'm not suggesting that you pressure anybody in your life, or that you take on pressure into your life that's too much for you and breaks your weaknesses. I'm talking about kind of the Goldilocks amount of pressure here, which is where your weaknesses are revealed. It might be a little scary or a little stretchy for you, it might stretch your boundaries a little bit, but you have some pressure and you're not sure that you can do it, but you think you can. That's a marker for me. When I'm taking on the right amount of pressure, I have this feeling that I might not be able to do this, but I think I can. Like I'm in that doubt range. That's good. Too little pressure is almost as bad as too much. Too much is the worst. That just breaks you. But too little pressure, a life with no pressure, is a life where you don't find out where your weaknesses are. And if you don't know where your weaknesses are, someday life is going to show you, maybe suddenly, but certainly someday life is going to, because life is a slow motion, steady pressure that can get very, very hard sometimes. And life may reveal those weaknesses for you all of a sudden in a way that will be very unpleasant for you. And in general, it's just more of a pleasure to be stronger and more capable. So you don't want too little pressure, and you don't want too much pressure. You want a level that is, yeah, I can do that. So, like, I made a video this evening with 4-pound balls, and doing bagua circles and teacups and stuff with the 4-pound balls. That is an amount of pressure that I can do. That feels good in my body. It gets stronger. My weaknesses and structure and strength get stronger from doing that. I take the 8-pound balls off, I got to be more careful. I do it with the 8, I got to be a little more careful because the weight's a little heavier and there's a little bit more risk. But if I put 15-pound balls in my hands, forget it. It's too much pressure. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to hurt myself. So I don't want that. I want an amount of weight that makes me go, Now, I learned over time that pressure is good, and that I should take it on, and that I benefit from taking it on. Like if you know you can do 5 push-ups, like nice push-ups where your hands are in close or out, but very, I like to do both kinds, but like say you're doing this kind and you do it smooth and even, chest to the ground, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. If you can do 5, and then you feel like, whew, boy, that's tough, try 6, try 7, try 8. If you can do 5 every other day, great. If you can do 5 every day, wonderful. But you keep doing that and you will get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you'll feel good. You'll feel good about your upper body and your posture. But I had to learn that. I grew up a kind of a scared and timid, not very sturdy kid, and I was scared of authority figures. I was scared of all kinds of I was scared of change. I was scared of anything new. I guess maybe I'm prone to some anxiety, so I will definitely, anytime anything new was happening in school, it would make me scared and make me nervous. and I would avoid pressure at all costs. I also grew up in kind of the 60s and 70s when pressure was associated with being a square, with being with authority figures at the time that the whole culture was rebelling against, and we all were kind of wanting the easy way out. So we responded to pressure by avoiding it. Some of us avoided it by smoking marijuana inappropriately. I think cannabis is a wonderful thing and a wonderful medication, a wonderful recreational drug, an inspirational drug, but it can be abused. It can be abused to just give you free, unearned pleasure, and you don't respond to pressure directly. Instead, you smoke weed, or we respond to it by simply avoiding it, like not leaving home until I was, I didn't leave home until I was like 25 or so. I was scared of pressure, and I thought pressure was kind of a bad thing, so I just avoided it. I just wasn't taught, that that pressure is okay. No one stood by me and helped me bear the pressure and showed me how it could be borne in a way that was beneficial. At least not in my adolescence. Maybe in my younger childhood that was more true. So when you have a plant that you love in your garden that's kind of frail and the wind is blowing hard and it's not very sturdy, the thing to do is put a stake near it and some strength near it and help it withstand that pressure so that eventually you can remove the stake and it can become strong on its own, like training wheels, if you will, kind of that kind of idea. So I didn't really get that in adolescence and young adulthood, and I just avoided pressure. And it wasn't until I was 27 or 28 years old that I finally saw my teacher, Andy Dale, in Seattle doing Tai Chi, and I just said, I don't care what it takes, I want to learn to move like that. And so I started to take on the work of learning how to move like that. And I felt similarly about yoga, and I spent 6 years doing yoga concurrent with my first 6 years in Tai Chi. And I really, over the years, I've gone in and out with it. It's still not second nature to me. It's still not in my bones that pressure is good. I learned how to do that. And so in the last several years, I've added more pressure, physical pressure, like doing things with weights, and more aerobic work, and a little bit harder martial stuff, and just generally upping the pressure ratio or balance or whatever into my life, because I'm realizing it's really valuable, and I really, really like it, and I really, really benefit from it. But man, it took me a long time to learn that. So I just encourage you to encourage the young people in your life, your kids if you have them, particularly if they're sensitive, particularly if they're emotional or tender kids, and not naturally sturdy and not naturally diving into things, to introduce them to that Goldilocks right amount of pressure, enough pressure that they think they might not be able to do it, and stand by them and help them out a little bit, but gradually take away the help. Get them used to moving towards pressure and testing. Get them to like pressure testing. Get them to like being challenged. Get them to like their abilities being challenged. Failure at something like that is not a bad thing. Criticism is not a bad thing. I grew up thinking criticism was terrible, and I avoided criticism and judgment at all costs. It took me forever to figure out that criticism and correction is some of the most wonderful things that you can get in life. Don't avoid them because they tweak your self-esteem a little bit. Screw that, man. Take the correction. And that's what pressure is. It provides you correction. It shows you where your weaknesses are and what you need to correct. So if I had it to do over again, I'd go back to my younger self, and I would have encouraged myself to do all kinds of things that at the time I just shied away from because they were uncomfortable and scary and too much pressure. But what I thought was too much pressure was nowhere near the pressure that would have broken me. It just was pressure that I was scared of. So I encourage you to find ways in your life that you can pressure yourself a little bit, challenge yourself a little bit. We talk in martial arts about pressure testing, because we have something, our fight game or our posture or our principles that we have in our art, and then we talk about pressure testing it, meaning can you maintain those principles under pressure? Physical pressure, emotional pressure, performance pressure, Like if there's something that you like to do, try doing it in front of a bunch of other people. And that's the pressure that will reveal the weaknesses in the thing that you do. So, yeah, I've just been really feeling this more and more and more lately, that pressure, provided it's the right amount, that Goldilocks amount there, and only you know what that is, pressure is good. It's much, much better than a life of no pressure. A life of no pressure is not a good life, and a life with too much pressure is not a good life either. So I recommend trying to find that comfortable balance between the two, and see if it helps you the way it's helped me. Just want to mention, and I'm going to be mentioning this at the end of every one of my videos lately, I'll try to keep it short. No ads on my videos. I'm not a big enough channel. If you'd like to help me out and support what I do, if this video is valuable or meaningful to you in any way, or my videos in general are, check the description down below. There's a little link where you can send me a tip on PayPal. You can send me $5 or whatever. I'm just trying to make a little bit of money doing these videos to help me make more videos and to help keep a roof over my head and to keep my music recorded and all that good stuff. I'm trying to make up for the $100 or so a year that I used to make on YouTube video monetization before they booted me out of the monetization world, which I'm actually kind of happy about. I'd rather be independent of commercials. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. If you'd like to visit GeneBurnett.com, there's more info there about what I do and lots of free music and stuff like that. But mainly, thanks for watching.